Hi everybody, this is Christine. Welcome to Scrap and Rabbit. Well, we'll be starting a new year again soon, and that means new planners and new calendars. And I saw recently little calendars put on greeting cards, and I thought that would also be a nifty little idea to make little tags that have a dual use and that would double as a little wall calendar. You can hang it up on your wall. You can write a message on the back and attach it to a gift. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this little tag. It's really easy to make. It's quick, you don't have to buy anything, and you just use whatever supplies you have on hand, and it's a good way to use your scraps. You can download the little calendar from my website, and I'll include a link below. It's a PDF file, so you can just print it off, and this is for 2018. So I'm going to get started. First, I want to decide how I'm going to design the layout of my calendar. I'm going to make this tag with the little angles at the top, but you can leave it square if you like. And this tag measures about 7 inches, and I added some lace and trim at the bottom, and I've got some trim here and just this little gold tie, and I put an eyelet here, and then the little calendar is just stapled on my tag. So you can make this in whatever size you like. I'm going to use a scrap piece of chipboard that I had left over from other projects, and that's the same one I used for this one, and it's the same size. So I'm going to start by cutting my little calendar. This is a sheet that I printed, so I'm going to cut these into individual squares. So I'm going to leave about a 1/4 inch above the month. So I'm going to put this like that. So I'm going to eyeball about a 1/4 inch. Like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the second row. I'm going to trim this width later. For now I'm just cutting above the month because I'm going to want all of my little calendars to be the same size. And then this row. Now once I've done that, I just printed these on plain paper. You can also print on scrapbook paper if you like. It doesn't need to be really thick. Okay, so now I'm going to stack my papers like that, and I'm going to place them in my trimmer, and I'm going to cut about a 1/4 inch below my last row of dates. Now make sure that, for example, I have an extra row here in December. So make sure that you put that one on top so you can see, and you're not going to cut that row off. Like that. So next, I'm going to trim on the right side of my little calendars, and again I'm going to go about 1/4 inch like that, and then the same thing for the previous month. Like that. So I'm leaving about a 1/4 inch. Okay. Then I stack them along the right edge like that. And I'm going to cut, I'm going to start with the smallest ones. Now they're not all the same size, so I'm going to use the top one as a template, like that, and I trim. I cut this pretty close. Okay. Then I can do the same thing with the next one. So that should make them all pretty much the same size, like that. Next I'm going to prepare to cut my tag. Now this fits perfectly on this piece of chipboard, and this measures 3 inches across. And I'm going to want to have my calendar at the bottom, or you can put it on the top if you prefer, and then I want an image above my calendar, and I like this one, this little flower pot. So I'm going to have this like that, and I can sort of plan where I'm going to put things. So that's going to go like that. Now, because my image doesn't go all the way down, I'm going to use some of this paper, and that's going to go like that. So I'm going to trim a piece of this scrap paper, and I don't need all that much. So I'm going to cut this approximately maybe half an inch above the top of my calendar. So that's going to go like that. Then I'm going to mark where to trim the width. And just flip this over and eyeball, and I'm going to trim it so it's just inside the width of my cardstock. Like that. Okay. So now I want to trim this little potted plant the same width, so I'm just going to center that on like that, and I'm just going to tape it. So don't worry about the length just now. We're going to trim that to fit after. Okay, so I'm going to make sure this is centered. Are just little scraps from Heartfelt Creations paper pack that I had. Okay, now I can trim my image. Like that. And I can position this here. So I want that to look like that. I'm going to trim a little bit off the bottom. So this is going at the bottom, along the bottom of my tag, like so. So now I can decide what height I want my tag, and I think I'm going to cut it just before this orange line like that, and then I'm going to angle my corners. So I'm going to take my, so I'm just using my design as the template, like that. So I'm going to remove this. And this is thick chipboard, so I just make one cut and then flip over and then cut the other side. Also a good idea to use an old blade if you have one kicking around. If I'm cutting a lot of chipboard, I will remove my good blade and replace it with an older one so that I don't ruin it, because it will wear out quickly. So this just fits on there. Now what you can do is leave a little edge showing all around if you prefer, and I think I'm going to do that because then I want to ink around the chipboard. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off each side. Like that. Okay, and now I can measure where to cut the top section of my scrapbook paper, just about here. Next I'm going to cut the angles at the top of my tag. I want them diagonal like this. So I'm just going to take my scissors and just eyeball and trim one corner. Now to get the other corner exactly the same, take the little corner that you trimmed off, flip it over like that, and use it as a template to cut the other corner. So next I want to trim the corners on my scrapbook paper, so I'm going to position this on there and I'm leaving a little border all around. I flip this over and I'm going to mark with the pen on the back where the corners are, and then I'm going to cut those just inside the line. And that fits like that. Now I think the easiest way to do the back, because I'm going to want to put something on the back, is I'm going to cut my paper before I attach this one. So all I need to do is make sure your paper is upside down. I'm going to have this pattern on the back of my tag, and then position this on here. This one is right side up, and I'm going to use it as a template to cut my paper. Or if you want, you can just trace around it with a pen. But I find it saves time doing it this way. And I don't need to measure. And then I just trim my corners. So this goes on the front of my tag, and this goes on the back, like that. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these with some two-sided tape. Actually, I'm just going to attach the first one first. The second one will be attached after I staple on my little calendar. So I lift off a little bit of the tape backing, and I can position my scrapbook paper on my tag, and then press down and remove the rest. Like so. So now I'm ready to attach my calendar. My pages are in order. And I just stack them neatly like that, and I position them over my bottom section of the tag like that. And I'll just grab my stapler, and I'm going to staple from, I can staple from the top actually, or I can staple from the bottom. Make sure it's nice and centered. On the right, you can just put one in the middle if you like, but I like having one on both sides. So now that I've done that, I can flip it over and attach the back to my tag. That'll hide the staples. Go. Next, I'm going to attach my eyelet at the top. So I've got my crocodile. Use whatever tool you want to punch a hole and attach your eyelet. If you don't want to, you don't need to attach an eyelet. You can just punch a little hole and run a ribbon through. So I'm going to center that. Okay, now before I attach my ribbon and finish embellishing, I want to ink around my edges. I'll use this distress ink instead, since my other ink dabber keeps falling apart. can always ink the front of the tag before attaching the little calendar if you're worried about getting it stained. I'm trying to be extra careful. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the back. So now I'm ready to embellish my little tag. I've got this little string that I'm going to attach to the top. Just loop that through the eyelet. And I'm going to put a little bit of lace at the bottom. So I'm going to attach that with my glue gun. Again, I could have attached it before putting my calendar on there, but I'll just be extra careful. Let that dry a bit. Trim the sides. I'm going to add a little bit of trim along the top edge. I'm just going to put one strip at the top, and I'll put two at the bottom. I have this bling that I got from the dollar store. You just buy it on a roll like this, and there's quite a bit. I'm just going to attach that like that. Let the glue cool. And then here, I won't be able to see the bottom of my little pot. I think I'll just, again, put one row. Just like that, and it's just going to cover the edge where the two papers meet. You don't need to do that, but I just want to finish it off a bit. going to put a little bit of lace as an extra layer along the bottom. So I'm just attaching that to the back of the tag. I'll let that cool, and maybe just to finish off the back, I'll use this piece of bling along the edge. I'll trim this first. Now, if you want to write a message on the back of your tag, you can just write it on white or ivory colored paper, or whatever light colored paper you have, and then you can just trim around and attach it to the back. And finally, I've got this little butterfly, and I think I'm just going to attach this on here. I'll just put it right there. Or here. So you can get really creative in how you embellish your little calendars. These are great at craft fairs too, and they're so quick to make. You can make a whole bunch of them at once, and they're handy to have too. So, like I said, you can download the template for the calendar. It's 2018 from my website, and follow along, and I hope you have fun making your little calendar tags. Have a nice day. Bye.